Hello everyone, welcome to the research proposal presentation. This is Hanzhi, Zheng, Misha. And the topic of my research is exploring English major student teachers' perceptions towards China English in mainland China. Let's begin with the background information. So it all starts from Kashu's three-circle model of world Englishes, as he categorized countries into three circles: the inner circle with a standard English variety, the outer circle with a developing English variety, and the expanding circle, in which speakers are regarded as foreign speakers of English and don't use it that much. But the current trend of using English more and more as a lingua franca or as an international language make the population of its speakers grow largely. As a result, localized features of English use also developed in countries within the expanding circle. There arose a debate on whether we should regard these features as deficit or as differences. Kirk insists that we should not tolerate these so-called pluralism, as they are just incorrect forms of English, while Kashu suggests that they are different internalizations of English. When we pay a closer look at the situation in China, you may find yourself familiar with the terms Chinglish, Chinese English, and China English. There's a common misunderstanding of them all being poor translations, which make no sense in English. A typical example could be Chinglish be related with a social stigma. These misunderstandings can be solved by a more reasoned definition from Eves, as Chinglish being the errors, Chinese English being an inner language during learner's learning process, and China English as a more mature form of developing English varieties. The primary focus of this research is on the aspect of attitudes. Attitudes of speakers of that variety plays an important role in increasing its vitality and promoting its status. Then let's take a look at the related literatures. Attitudes toward China English have been collected from different target groups of people, varies from college teachers to secondary school students. And researchers conduct different research methodology using questionnaires and interviews to collect information. What I found interesting is that it seems different groups hold a completely different view towards China English. As we can see here, college teacher looks in a positive way, but secondary students hold a negative attitude. To think about what leads to these different choices, I checked the questions scholars provided to their participants and find some expressions in the question may lead to bias. For example, will China English stand alongside British varieties? Well, it's very obvious that you want an answer from them, and they would follow your lead. And with regard of the checking of understanding of China English, whose research only used broad questions with regard of the definitions to check their understanding, and Liu's researchers ask secondary school students directly, do they know China English? I don't think it's a solid provement of their understanding. And if you don't check it ahead, it will make their opinions, make their attitudes invalid if they misunderstand the definition or they mix the concepts together. I also found two articles which look at the attitudes towards China English in a specific aspect. The first one from He, they look at the attitudes in the area of pronunciation and grammar. They find the tolerance for pronunciation is much higher than that for grammar. And then in Pan's research, they try to relate the attitude and its effect. They find out there is an inconsistency between what the students think and what they do. Their attitude towards China English is positive, but they don't want themselves to be identified as Chinese and prefer to speak more native-like. So let's make a summary of the literatures. The common finding is that there is a wide variety of people's attitudes towards China English. And in general, they had a positive view, but they still regard standard English as a better model and don't want to be identified as Chinese. So where is the research gap? From the aspect of participants, most of the research chose students and teachers. Well, what about pre-service student teachers? And they are the future language teacher, and their attitudes towards China English can indeed influence the implementation of China English in the future teaching. And also, as I mentioned, I want to add more detailed questions based on the understanding of terminology, rather than merely the broad definition of China English to check the understanding, in order to make sure that I exclude all the invalid attitudes. Lastly, I am also interested in studying the different acceptance of China English in some contextual settings, mostly in teaching. I mean, whether it is more acceptable in explaining cultural issues compared to a grammatical issues. I want to look at the difference between the acceptance. My research questions are as follows. What is the mainland English major student teacher's level of familiarity with China English? What attitudes do they hold towards China English and other English varieties? To what extent is China English accepted by them in different pedagogical settings, and why? Now let me introduce the design of my research. So there are two sections in our research. The first one is questionnaire, and the second one is interview. So our targeted participants are mainland English major student teachers. The sample size is 50 for questionnaires and 10 for interviews. I will use Google Form to deliver the questionnaire and collect the questionnaires. And also the interviews, I will use Zoom to conduct it. For data analysis, qualitative data will be analysis using statistical package for the social science to ensure it is internally consistent. And for the qualitative data, I will use a thematic analysis. So there will be preset themes for me, and we will transcript all the interview materials into English and fit them into the themes to make a list. And to avoid the subjectivity of our research, we have different researchers conducting questionnaires and interviews, so we don't interfere with the process. Finally, here comes the conclusion. I will divide it into two parts. The first one is the significance of my study. So as we chose pre-survey student teacher as the target participant, their attitudes towards China English will affect their students and may influence the promotion of China English's status later. And as we studied the different acceptance of China English in various pedagogical settings, so these judgments are based on student teachers' experience in their teaching practice in the field. So these are very useful empirical data for further study. And then we compared the attitudes towards China English horizontally with other English varieties. This avoided the potential biases. So because we don't say someone is superior than the others, they had to make the judgment based on themselves. For future implications, well, based on our prediction, I think student teachers' attitudes towards China English still vary. And so maybe standard English still serve to be the perfect entry point for English learning and should be set as a main teaching model, while China English can be supportive to be added to the model with systematic codification and implementation. So I think more research can focus on the codification of China English from different areas like vocabulary, grammar, or even pragmatics and syntax. And also still some more different pedagogical settings for us to study its acceptability. This is my reference list. Please have a look, and thanks for your watching. Goodbye.